there's an emergency measure in the state statute that allows the state fire marshal to order a dangerous building to be removed immediately. And so we forwarded statements from Joy T. Miller, Economic Development Director, and the building inspector to him, asking him to direct the city of Georgetown to remove those buildings. There was a couple interesting pieces in that. The historic preservation folks from Charlotte Charleston came up. I don't think they realized the extent of the damage to those facades, but they wanted to be heard about facade preservation. Within the next 2 or 3 days, obviously that problem almost eliminated itself when they collapsed. So we worked through that issue. Again, a lot of owners who are interested, and I think that's one of the issues that sort of the collective effort fell apart. You had some of the building owners thinking rebuilding almost immediately, while some of them were still in sort of a state of shock from what had occurred. But anyway, right now we have a petition with the state fire marshal to ask him to command us to take the building down and remove the facades. We do understand how it's affecting traffic up and down Front Street. We hope to get that decision this afternoon. Many of them were working with different adjusters who want to see the debris pile, who want to visit the site before debris gets removed. And so I think all that's kind of been settled right now. I think that obstacle's out of the way. But anyway, we hope to see some efforts made pretty soon to restoring Front Street to its normal traffic pattern. And we wait on the fire marshal's declaration. I think we'll be better at questions now than anything else. You have any?
In hindsight, it turned out to be a good decision that they selected that material for the boardwalk as opposed to using pine.
Boy, it sure looks good to me. I'm all for it. It was not that much damage on the board.
Are the remaining firewalls?
You mean on the building?
Are they sound?
The firewalls are the...
Yes, the one between roadblocks and T. Miller's building, that was still intact. And that had water on all that long. I said it got hot, that's it.
I heard it was a crack in the one next to the American Museum.
I haven't seen that. That's something that you're going to look at and see.
Do you know if FEMA's going to be a problem with rebuilding?
That's an interesting question. You know, a lot of people, the early concern was, well, if we have to elevate, everybody knows we're at 89 flood zone, which means 9 feet above sea level, 2 feet of freeboard. You got to be 11 feet above sea level for your first floor occupancy. But the woman was there that afternoon, interestingly enough, who administers the FEMA program statewide, and she said, yes, but for commercial buildings, there is an exception. Whereas if they build an impenetrable waterproof foundation envelope, that there can be, they can rebuild in the same footprint as long as, again, the foundation, the first 11 feet are totally encapsulated. Membrane to prevent water from entering. Now, I realize that's a very expensive construction, and that may very well influence what if gets built back on Front Street. But that's something the owners will have to determine. But they do not have to meet that. I know rumors out there, 11-foot elevation requirement. Not if they meet that construction standard.
Any common wall between property?
Now, back.
Were there?
I think there was common wall construction, but I can't tell you which building.
There's some of them were common wall, some of them were double wall, but because that fire moves so fast, it wasn't only the fire on the back, some of the contents inside those buildings got so extremely hot and it didn't hold up. Then we started having to collapse some of the roofs and the floors together. It pulled them all down.
I was thinking for ownership purposes, rebuilding.
Right.
They were talking about building a common envelope, and then each individual property owner finishing from that point. So it's possible. There is zero setbacks in the zoning, so could be allowed.
Has the governor indicated there'd be any funds available to us? I mean,
Well, we heard a lot of promise. No, I was kidding.
No.
Well, you know, well, let me tell you on the business side of this. I know the chamber stepped up. The Division of Labor pretty much is the city, I think, is going to look after the public infrastructure, the streets, the permitting, and at the chamber's working with Small Business Administration and other possible grants or loan funders for the business owners. So I think to answer your question, I think if it comes through, it'll come through the chamber for business assistance as opposed to the city. That's sort of like their side of the line. We're going to work this side. So, yeah, I think there will be possibly SBA grants, small ones, and do.
And we did get a call yesterday from Senator Graham's office that had been, it said the governor's office reached out to them, they're trying to see what they can find to help. But they're looking for information that we can't get in terms of letter ATF right now, so.
I think a lot of people got confused and thought that it could be something like a federal declaration on disaster, but it really was a localized event. I mean, it was bad, don't get me wrong, but it didn't have the wide-ranging effect of a hurricane or something. There's one guy whose opinion I kind of grow to respect down there. He said, you know, if we knew it was going to be this expensive to build back, by the way, the owners have been in conversation with structural engineers and architects, this building envelope I keep referring to, they're all saying, you know, we're underinsured to build back. We could only, from what, some, not all, from what our insurance proceeds, we may be able to get to where we can build up with what we're going to get from the settlement. And I think, you know, I think a lot of them were underinsured for what they're going to have to do now. I do. I don't think anybody was not insured. I think every owner had some insurance.
Chance of getting a better fireboat if this happens again.
As a matter of fact, when we walked on the boardwalk the other day with the governor and had Senator Scott, Senator Graham's representative with us, we discussed that with them. And they're looking at that now. That's how we got to North Charleston and City of Charleston. You know, last year got brand new boats and the port security grant, and that's what we're going to be looking at as well too.
These storefronts are only 25 feet wide. I mean, you hate to see 6 or 7 people go in there and try to work independent of each other, but debris removal would be the responsibility of the property owner. But I think there's some, you know, I know a lot of people are trying to help them. I know some of these people said they had debris removal on their policy. So ultimately the answer is the property owner. But I think there's efforts we might, you know, the city can step up and help assist with some of it. Right now, it's just been the question of the inability of getting that many property owners to work. I think there's, you know, still sorting through it, and some are here and some are here in terms of working through it.
And that was really one of my questions. We have so many different fundraisers and things that are out there right now. You try to, you've got the employees of the areas, you've got property owners of the area. You look for common ground of what really would need help with some of the funding. That was the purpose of my question. Everybody's going to be in agreement that debris removal will be something of a cost to all concerned. It will be beneficial to the city, the people of the city, and the property owners. To me, that's one common ground that you could come up with that people see much for, you know, a fundraising event would be beneficial and helpful.
We've heard estimates for cleaning the entire site up being $175. You know, it's going to be great if those sites come back with no asbestos. That will certainly simplify it, and I think they will. The first one came back that way. Let me say this. There is a fund, you've probably heard of it, called the Front Street Fire Relief Fund. You know, the Chamber, again, has set up a committee to work toward looking at the beneficiaries of distribution of that, and I'm sure they'll look at property owners assisting with debris removal. I think they would as part of the recipients and beneficiaries of that. Again, the Chamber working with small business, they sort of stepped up and taken a lead on that.
And we do have a lot of people on homelessness too.
Yes.
I mean, there are a lot of people who lost everything they owned in that. We look at the business, we understand that, but I've talked to a few people on the street yesterday, as a matter of fact, one girl, I think came from San Francisco, was a photographer. All of her equipment is up there and is gone. So the different ones, and the different people lost everything they've got, including this art. You know, her home and her business both. So.
Some people had inventory on consignment, you know, they're liable for it.
Chris, the GBA had a meeting this morning, and that fund, they're trying to get that money distributed as quickly as possible, especially to the employees, the people who they didn't get a paycheck and they have a mortgage due, or buy groceries. So the Chamber and GBA are working together.
That is the fund, if you really think about it like that.
That fund was started before the fire was out.
Yeah, there has been maybe an effort or two that's independent of it, but not many. Most of them are going through that.
And I actually believe that the Georgetown Times contributed $25,000.
$25,000.
Most contributed $25,000.
Yeah, that's great.